The Constitution only guarantees the American people the right to pursue happiness. You have to catch it yourself. Benjamin Franklin. In my experience, happiness is one of the hardest things to catch, and you can only catch it through the intentional pursuit of it. I was always an anxious kid, but definitely a very happy kid. I slept in my mom's bed till 5th grade because my brothers showed me a scary video on YouTube and I never quite recovered. I avoided sleepovers and sleepaway camps like the plague, and I even hated New Year's Eve because the year changes. None of my little anxieties or fears of change manifested into a problem until 8th grade, when I was 14. I was always a fast runner, for as long as I remember. In soccer games, I would always chase the ball down the length of the field, and on the playground, I would always win races. I did this effortlessly. So the natural course of action was for me to run cross country and track and field like my older brothers. Something about cross country that makes it unique from other sports is that it's objective. There's no debate about who's the best. I love this component because it takes any politics out of the sport and makes a strong, wholesome community. The same part of the sport is also a dangerous part. It's very easy to fall into a trap of putting so much stress on yourself for the time on the clock to flash the number you desire. It's easy to forget that progress is not linear. In 8th grade, I started to get really anxious when I ran. I was stuck in a mindset of only caring about setting a PR and comparing my times to those of other girls that I'd run against forever. I ran my fastest time in middle school in 6th grade, and I never hit it again during middle school. I hated the way I couldn't stop putting pressure on myself and the fact that I felt like I would never be good at running again. Come October of 8th grade, around the time of the middle school state championships, I could not wrap my head around the idea of racing, so I didn't. I remember my mom trying to comfort me, telling me it was going to be okay when I was deciding to drop out, and all I remember repeating is, "I am not okay." That winter, I was very depressed, and I couldn't get myself to do anything. I just wanted to vanish. And this set off a question in my head. Why am I so unhappy? It was at that point that I realized that whatever I was doing was not working, and I needed to actively make a change for my happiness. After this, I decided to play soccer during the spring season at school. Taking this step back from running really helped me appreciate it more and love it because I had time to fix my mindset that the time on the clock had nothing to do with how worthy I was. I was still Harriet, slow or fast. When I was getting back into running, I was determined to make sure it stayed fun. After all, what's the point of sports if they're not fun? Keeping it fun is always my advice to athletes or parents with kids getting into sports. If it's not fun, then it's not worth your time. Of course, we all have days where we don't feel like doing it or it's not that fun, but if you dread every single day of something, you need to stop and channel that energy elsewhere. Now, with my new perspective, running has become one of my main sources of happiness and where I channel a very large portion of my energy. Another important part about happiness is practicing healthy habits and taking time to enjoy the little things in life. It may seem simple, but I truly believe that eating good food and getting 8 hours of sleep every night contributes to my happiness. The little things that bring me happiness are listening to my playlists with the windows down, running with my teammates, Olivia and Zahara, FaceTiming my brothers, Edward and George at Columbia, my dogs, Dolly and Hank, and cooking good meals. Being around people that treat me with respect and value my company is also a necessity to being happy. I know it sounds obvious that of course I'm not going to spend my time around people who are rude to me, but in a small school like Pace, where you can see what everyone does every weekend and who they're with, it's easy to get caught in a fear of missing out situation. I think when you catch yourself feeling this way, it's so important to be reminded that if people don't want to spend time around you, then you should invest that time into people who value your company. If dropping out of that middle school state meet taught me anything, it was how to fall in love with running again. I'm so glad it did because it brought me some of my closest friends, the best coaches, and 4 state titles. Hopefully 5 by next week. Over the summer, I watched the documentary Happy, which explains that 50% of your happiness is genes, 10% is circumstantial, and 40% of it is the intentional pursuit of happiness. Being happy does not come without effort. We have to actively pursue it. I've discovered over the years that I have to be able to cope with the times of sadness to eventually find the light and be happy again. In the words of the Grateful Dead, every silver lining's got a touch of gray. I wish I could tell my 8th grade self that being happy is like running. Even through the bad days, the ups, the downs, the hardest moments, and the most rewarding ones, you're still making progress. The progress won't be linear, but that's not the point. The point is to make every bit of progress that you can. Thank you.